Amelia dropped the tray of dirty plates onto the nearest table. The sneakers on her feet squeaked against the polished marble floor of Bellissimo. Behind her, the laughter of her coworkers, the head waiter Marcus and the cynical Chelsea, felt like a physical shove. They sneered that the old woman was probably drunk or a potential lawsuit. Amelia ignored them. She saw a small, silver-haired woman, elegantly dressed, struggling to push herself up. Her face was flushed with acute embarrassment, and her scattered purse had spilled lipstick and tissues everywhere. "Ma'am, please don't move." Amelia knelt beside her, her voice gentle, instinctively protective. For a moment, the woman looked up at her, and Amelia saw something in those eyes that didn't match the trembling hands. A sharpness, a deep, unsettling intelligence. But Amelia just focused on the simple task. She supported the woman's elbow, guiding her slowly to a quiet corner booth, away from the cruel, curious stares of the lunch crowd. The assistant manager, Derek, had loudly suggested the woman was intoxicated. Amelia's jaw tightened. "She's not drunk, she slipped on your freshly waxed floor," she shot back, a quiet defiance that surprised even herself. The woman simply smiled, a genuine, warm expression. "You're very kind." Amelia only shrugged. "It's just human decency, nothing special about that." The woman touched Amelia's hand, her grip surprisingly strong, and asked for her name. "Amelia Santos," she replied. That simple exchange was the quiet beginning of everything. The restaurant fell silent later that afternoon, a sudden, unnatural quiet broken by the deep, low rumble of powerful car engines. Amelia walked to the front window and froze. 3 black SUVs positioned nose to tail blocked the entire street outside Bellissimo. 6 men emerged, dressed in dark suits that cost more than Amelia's annual rent. They moved with a chilling, synchronized precision. The scarred man, their leader, stepped inside and his voice was flat, final. "Lock the doors." Derek's face went white as one of the men turned the deadbolt, pulling the shades down to replace the afternoon sun with the dim glow of the pendant lamps. Then the side door opened. The old woman walked back in, but she wasn't alone. 2 suited men flanked her, protective, reverent. The trembling vulnerability Amelia had seen earlier was completely gone, replaced by an expression of cool, terrifying authority. "My name," she said quietly, addressing the terrified staff, "is Bianca Moretti." The name hit Amelia like a physical blow. Everyone in the city knew that name. The Moretti family didn't just have connections, they were the connections. And standing right there was the mother of Lorenzo Moretti, the family boss. The front door opened again. The man who entered didn't need an introduction. Lorenzo Moretti was tall, wearing a charcoal suit that looked sculpted to his powerful frame, his eyes like black ice. He didn't speak. He simply looked at his mother, and she nodded toward the security office. "Bring me the footage," he ordered, "from 2 p.m. until now." They were all forced to stand and watch. Amelia saw herself rushing to help. She saw Marcus laughing. She saw Chelsea's cruel smile. She saw Derek's accusation. When the video ended, Lorenzo looked at each staff member in turn. "You're fired," he said to Derek, Marcus, Chelsea, and the others. They received no argument, just left in terrified silence. Finally, Lorenzo's eyes landed on Amelia. She forced herself not to look away, though her knees felt weak. He studied her, then gave an almost imperceptible nod. "Kindness is rare, cruelty is common," he said to the remaining staff, his voice dangerously soft. As they walked toward the door, Bianca paused beside Amelia, squeezing her hand warmly. "Thank you, dear girl," she whispered. "You have a good heart." Amelia woke the next morning to an authoritative, deliberate knocking. 2 men in dark suits stood in her narrow hallway. Vincent and Marco. They worked for the Moretti family. Amelia's mind raced. Had she done something wrong? No, they assured her. Mrs. Moretti wanted to see her. She wanted to thank her properly at the estate. 20 minutes later, Amelia sat in the back of a black Mercedes, driven out of her humble neighborhood and into the hills where the city's wealthiest lived. The Moretti estate was staggering, a villa of cream-colored stone, manicured gardens, and marble fountains. It looked like a castle. Bianca, dressed in elegant cream and pearls, was waiting in the solarium. She looked completely different from the vulnerable woman who had fallen. "You showed me kindness when everyone else showed me contempt," Bianca said, her eyes sharp but warm. "In my world, that's rarer than diamonds." She confessed her loneliness, revealing the hole left by the loss of her daughter Gabriella 15 years earlier. Then came the proposition: companionship, help with daily tasks. Nothing illegal. "I'm offering you a temporary position," Bianca continued. "Room and board included, plus a salary of $5,000 a week." Amelia nearly dropped her teacup. She thought about her meager savings, her dead-end job, and the genuine loneliness in Bianca's eyes. She said, "Okay, I'll do it." Almost immediately, the outside world attacked. The tabloids exploded, calling her a waitress turned mistress, a gold digger who had seduced her way into the family. Grainy photos of her arriving at the estate were everywhere. Amelia felt sick. Meanwhile, inside the mansion, Lorenzo was unconvinced. He ordered a complete background check. Frank, his consigliere, delivered the results days later. Amelia was clean. No debts, no vices, no connections, nothing. "She's exactly who she appears to be," Frank murmured. But Lorenzo, built on suspicion and paranoia, just frowned. "Nobody's that clean, Frank," he insisted. "Keep watching her." The tension climaxed at a formal family dinner. Amelia was judged by Lorenzo's inner circle, particularly his sharp-featured Aunt Claudia and her son Marco. They saw her as a distraction, a weakness. Later, Amelia heard their furious whispers in the hallway. They were convinced Bianca was using her to soften Lorenzo, and they were plotting to remove her. Marco suggested framing her as a spy for a rival family. "Evidence can be arranged," Claudia's voice was firm. Amelia's blood ran cold. She had 3 days. The ambush came quickly. Marco, the day after the dinner, snuck into her room at 4:47 a.m. and planted an old stolen leather ledger of sensitive family finances behind her suitcase. Amelia was summoned to Lorenzo's office, where he stood, cold and menacing, with the ledger on the desk. Marco and Claudia watched with neutral expressions. Lorenzo interrogated her, his voice devoid of emotion. "It was found in your room, hidden in your closet," he stated. Amelia fought for air, knowing the trap was sprung. She faced him down. "I'm not lying. I have nothing, no connections, no power, no reason to steal from you." Then the door burst open. Bianca stormed in, demanding to know what was happening. She turned her phone to Lorenzo. "I installed private security cameras in Amelia's room 3 days ago because I suspected someone might try something exactly like this." The grainy video showed Marco slipping into the room and planting the ledger. The silence in the office was deafening. Lorenzo's voice when he spoke to Marco was colder than ice. He exiled Marco and Claudia from the family, stripping them of everything. He turned to Amelia, regret finally breaking through his hard exterior. "Miss Santos, I was wrong," he admitted. "I should have trusted my mother's judgment. I should have trusted you." The family held a massive assembly days later, meant to show unity. Amelia, now officially Bianca's trusted confidant, was at her side. She was standing near a floor-to-ceiling window when she saw it. A glint of light from the hillside. A scope reflection. Her childhood hunting instinct screamed. Bianca was perfectly exposed. Amelia didn't think. She sprinted across the ballroom, a flash of midnight blue. She tackled Bianca just as the window exploded. The gunshot came a split second later, the bullet embedding itself in the wall where Bianca's head had been. Lorenzo's face transformed into something terrifying. He was instantly by their side. "You saw the sniper?" he gasped. "I grew up hunting," Amelia whispered, shaking. "I know what a scope looks like." In a stunning gesture, he took her hand, pulling her up gently. "You saved my mother's life." The shooters were caught and interrogated, revealing Marco had contracted them, hired by a rival organization after his exile. He wanted revenge. Bianca, tired of death, chose exile over the old way for Marco. 3 days later, in a formal assembly of the entire family, Bianca made the final declaration. "One person helped me," she said, her voice carrying through the silent room. "One person showed me dignity and kindness without knowing who I was. That person is Amelia Santos, and 5 nights ago, she threw herself between me and a bullet. She saved my life. Bianca's eyes found Amelia. You are the daughter I didn't know I still had, and I claim you here before everyone. You are family now. Lorenzo approached, his expression the softest Amelia had ever seen it. Welcome to the family, he said officially. Amelia was now Bianca's permanent confidant, an advisor with a voice in family matters. Lorenzo later took her to his private basement shooting range. He offered her a handgun. Amelia aimed, exhaled, and fired 3 rounds into center mass. Lorenzo laughed, a genuine, unrestrained sound. You're unnatural, he said, smiling. He let her call him Lorenzo. She had found a purpose and perhaps, standing with him in the charged silence, something more. The estate staff, the family, the city's underworld, they all began to treat her with respect. She hadn't chased power. She hadn't schemed or manipulated. She had simply been good, and that simple choice, that single moment of compassion, had led power to her. Amelia stood on her luxurious balcony that evening, looking out at the glittering city skyline. Lorenzo joined her, 2 glasses of wine in hand. What are you thinking? He asked. Amelia smiled, touching the Moretti crest pendant at her throat. That kindness is more powerful than I ever imagined, she replied. You're extraordinary, Amelia Santos, he said, and for the first time in his eyes, there was no suspicion, only certainty and respect. She had found a family, a purpose, and the knowledge that one moment of courage could change everything. That's what made all the difference.